Good evening, everybody. This is Silk. We're going to do a little kind of recap, strategy discussion, whatnot for View to Kill here. This is going to be a little different. Real life kind of got a little busy for me last week, and it's actually going to get real busy for me this weekend, too. So this is going to be kind of an amalgamation. It's really kind of turn 7 and 8 and a little bit of 9, kind of all rolled into one. So I can appreciate that it's not quite as cut and dried as the previous videos that I made, but bear with me. We'll hopefully make some content that's useful for folks. So first off, we'll start with kind of the stuff from turn 7, which is no longer, of course, my board state here. But the kind of important part to remember was, Germany kind of came in. They took Belgium, Switzerland, all of Poland, and killed Paris. Got rid of France, all in one fell swoop, which is a pretty normal thing that Germany can do, especially with how underdefended I had France there by going with those two fighters and unleashing the KMT. That definitely weakened a bit of what France could do defensively. That said, I really should have put a fighter there in Paris, or not a fighter. Should have put an anti-aircraft to deal with the fighters in Paris. And normally I would. In my max defense France, I actually have 2. And it entirely slipped my mind, and just bad play on my part. But as far as the actual kind of German attack, what the results were, while France was definitely underperformed, we only killed the one light armor. As luck would have it, the neutrals just absolutely took Germany to task. Counting the fight here in Yugoslavia, my running total is 18 units that the neutrals have taken from Germany, which is a pretty high number. Even if France would normally kill, 4 or 5, the neutrals killing, 12, 13, 14 in that number would still be high, and he's at 18. So definitely that's put the Germans a little bit behind the 8 ball. Not so much their money production. Their money production is actually still pretty good. Oh, and I got to add, he did win that. Let's get that on the board there. A little bit extra money for the Germans to play with. Which I don't think I have Romania correct, because a bunch of this stuff I think went in here. I gotta check that. My board's not quite up to turn 9 yet. I still got some Russian stuff and German stuff to move, so bear with me here. But yeah, so the Germans overall on turn 7 certainly accomplished everything they wanted to accomplish. Just the cost was a little bit too high. The interesting parts, of course, is on 8, he finishes the battleship and the carrier, which I was thinking, let's see if I can get a little bit closer view of stuff for guys. So once he was building that, it did force me to leave the Vichy alone for a turn, as I kind of discussed last turn. Because I did not want those units showing up in the Mediterranean. I thought he'd fight, or potentially he'd use them here to dominate the Mediterranean and launch a airborne attack here into northern Norway, because this is worth 2 extra German dollars, so it's a $3 territory. The interesting part is he decided to instead come down here, take Norway proper, which the coastal gun hitting is the unfortunate part because it does damage his battleship, but he wins it pretty easily elsewhere, and if he wants to, he can either A, threaten me here in England, which you'll see me trying to stop some of that as best I can, or B, he's actually still going to go ahead and come up here and grab northern Norway. The fun part is that by doing it this way, and he flips northern Norway to Great Britain for $1, and you can kind of say, well, hey, you don't want to give your opponents $1, but England owning northern Norway closes this line. So my sub here that would normally rate him for somewhere between $0 and $2 every turn, with a pretty average chance of hitting for $2. The average is about 2.5. So more often than not, you're gonna raid for 1 or 2 here, and he's by shutting that off, he's kind of by net making himself some money, at least compared to me. So that might have been something. You may see this for the rest of the game. He may leave this guy alone, just to not have to deal with this line being open. Well, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure what Panzer J's got in his mind there. This fleet is definitely interesting. Other than that, certainly you kind of see the tanks come up, the units form up here in Romania. At some point, the Germans and the Russians are going to go to war. That could be as soon as this turn or next. I was a little surprised the Soviets didn't declare war on turn 9 on Italy at a minimum, or go ahead and bite the bullet and declare war on Germany to eliminate Barbarossa. But that didn't happen, although it still could. There's still time. Several turns before Germany has to go again, so the Soviets still might do that. But it seemed like that was their opportunity to kind of do it was on their turn. So I think they're hoping they have another turn, and maybe there's some back and forth there, waiting to see what happens. He's got a huge bank. The Soviets they've got to be at 120 probably once they count the MR Pact. Huge bank. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. Is they're going to explode out with just a massive stack of infantry and militia. And Germany, to their unfortunate, the one tech they really want is advanced max. And they just haven't looked into it. Simultaneously, the Russians really want improved factories, and they're even worse. They're at stage 1 on improved factories. Like, he's 1 for 9 on his improved factories, which is just an insane streak of bad luck. I've kind of been there. You guys should have seen my American game. It was similar, but for multiple techs. But yeah, so the Soviets are definitely down on factories. The Germans are definitely down not having mechs yet, even after 9 turns. Things are probably going to get hot there, I think. And the back and forth between the fleets, between the German fleet, the Russian fleet, and sort of my small British fleet, and then it's not necessarily too far away. We might have an American fleet, shows up if Japan gets frisky. And that should give you a pretty good rundown. Italians had a chance here to come and fight my fleet here in is that M2, but numbers were on my side, so I wasn't terribly surprised that they turned me down, but they could have. I've certainly seen, and these guys got to go here. Warp spots I didn't have to board on was moving with planes. So med's still hot. I think you guys are going to see. So, tensions are high there. Pretty normal. Spain's pretty well cooled down. I think you may see a late game play for Spain where it gets hotter around turn 15 or so. But it seems like both sides are pretty content to just let it sit. Now let's talk about Japan. Oh, do I love Bruce's Japan. So, Bruce's Japan strategy, I just absolutely love. It is very similar to mine. Reason for that is that a lot of the foundation of what became my Japan strategy, the very, very early foundation, I based it off of a YouTube war that Bruce was in, I don't know, probably 2 years ago or something. Long, just as I was kind of starting to learn about global war. I learned it by watching YouTube videos, kind of like what hopefully some of you guys are doing today. So a lot of my early Japanese strategy that you saw me execute in Thunderball developed over time. I did play other games with Japan before then, but a lot of the basic foundation stepwise of where the units are, like this I want to do, this I want to do, and really kind of what do you do with the DEI I want to do, almost on the same schedule. I would maybe have more guys here than what he has, but that's about it. Like, it's really similar, and I place a higher priority on heavy armor, whereas I think he places a higher priority on getting his heavy ships and his improved construction going. So just quibbling at the edges, but he and I are very similar, and it's so neat to see, even as he's my opponent here. I still love watching Japan in motion, and the stress buildup. And as far as the DEI here, I would have done the exact same move that Bruce did. Once I see America roll low on that turn 7 roll, which Hambone only rolled a 3, that's about as low as you can hope for. I would absolutely jump in here. Bruce is a little disappointed that he rolled a 15, for the U.S. I've seen worse. Could have been 19, could have been 21. I've seen both of those. But it also could have been 4. I had an America, where I'm America, and Japan hits the DEI, and I get a 3 and a 1. And this board set, I think it was the right time, because it not only nets him that cash, but since America was already low after that first roll, he had some wiggle room for the roll to be a little higher. And it was, just a touch, 15 versus 13 and a half. But 15 plus 3 is 18, and the average on 3 dice is actually 19 and a half. So the U.S. is still below average on those 3 dice. So overall, pretty good trade for the Japanese here. I don't know if Bruce is going to attack me on turn 9 or not. I don't think so. I'm kind of guessing it'll be either turn 10 or 11. Again, I think he wants to kind of see what another American die roll looks like, and then he'll probably reevaluate. But you never know. Sometimes I don't think he's got a very good surprise attack into Calcutta here. I've got, oh gosh, that sitting in Calcutta. It's quite a bit. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18 units currently sitting in Calcutta. That's quite a bit to try to chew through, even with your sneak attack. And he only has the 3 planes because of the carriers, so he doesn't really have a lot of the plane firepower yet. So I don't think Calcutta's in his sights yet, but it might be a turn or 2 from now. Don't be shocked there. I think that's about all I've got on that. As far as, pretty light over here. Which I got to add these guys. There's actually a pretty big Mongolia, but I don't flip Mongolia generally until it actually flips. But there's 5 units here, I think. It's pretty noticeable. I'm a little surprised also that the Soviets are keeping this as light as they are. But once their fire sale is, you may see them just drop 10 militia here and then upgrade them and create a stress point. The Soviets not having the CCP survive, and again, they can get resurrected, but it's a whole lot of work. Unless they devote a really big army here, because they can come through Mongolia and pop into these and try to resurrect the CCP that way if they want to. But given that this is now the Soviet objective instead of this, I would expect more action there from the Soviets if they decide they want that eastern point. And you may see that coming forward, but currently it doesn't look like it. It looks like he's mostly open to kind of do a DMZ approach where he doesn't put much on the Manchurian border. Therefore, Japan doesn't put much on the Manchurian border. They both kind of leave each other alone. But again, he hasn't had his fire sale yet, so that can change. We're just not sure there. Currently, I've got the Soviets at topping out at 8 points, which is a decent score for them. That's solid, but they'd really like to have a 9. 9 points is often your real solid win break point. 8 is often a tying score, not a winning score. But if the Soviets can drag the points down, if they can get everybody to kind of take a little bit from everybody else, I've seen 7 win. It is possible. I've seen 7 be a winning score. It didn't win. The game didn't end. But it was at least a winning score at the time. So that is a possibility to see. Not a whole lot from the Americans that interest me, although except for one. Love to get Handbones. He wants to chime in and tell me. Moving these guys to Wake, but running away with the battleships really kind of confused me. If you're going to have a forward fleet, I think you would want your battleships here to be a forward fleet. And likewise, I mean, his money was tight, but I'm a little surprised he decided to build the port in Panama, or not Panama, Puerto Rico, instead of here. So he might be doing some fun stuff there. Just things to kind of keep an eye on, look out for. That's probably it. I don't think I've got much else. Shout out to Panzer J. If you want to comment to the audience about what your plan was with those Vichy, I don't know if you duped me into that attack or if you kind of counted it as a lost cause or you wanted to get the extra fighter that I think is actually over here now. Again, kind of gonna work on updating my map here for turn 9. But I think the audience might be interested in hearing a little bit of that now that it's past sort of past its use of what you were thinking and why you were doing it that way. That's probably it though. So I'm gonna be gone, I think, for Saturday and Sunday. Should be back around Monday. So kind of why I wanted to go ahead and just do this as a more general recap, because I may not do one for turn 9 at all. We may just end up skipping that and going. If we do our turns fast enough, we may skip the 10, but it's also Labor Day weekend. Like, there's going to be a lot of boating and golfing, lots of other things, so we may not be playing much this weekend. I'm just not really sure which one it is, so I kind of wanted to hedge my bets and be able to play to either side there. So, to all of you, have a great and safe and enjoyable, fun Labor Day weekend and a summer. And I'll see you guys, see you around. Take care.